Okay, it's May 2024 and I'm going to give a crack at Thunder in the East. A mini monster game. So quite looking forward to this. This is the first ever game, so really it's a playthrough just to see how the rules work, and I'm reading the rules as I go. But this video will just be an introduction to the battle, upcoming battle, and then from there we'll hopefully step us through it. As usual, these are more for my own memory and fun than anything else. But of course, Murray, if you want to watch these and give me some advice, that's fine too. So the first scenario in the book is obviously Barbarossa, and that's the one we're going to be playing here. So Barbarossa only lasts 4 months, but as you can see from the game turns here, you've actually got about 4 years. So the entire game can go across 4 years. Whereas Barbarossa starts here and finishes here. So, and each month in the summer has 4 turns. So it's actually 12 turns all up, is what I read, or maybe it's 16 turns. So massive map here in Thunder in the East. Really great, love it, love the map, eh? And I've just been studying it in some detail. And I'm looking from the north down because this is going to be the Soviet perspective, and I've got their display chart set up here with all their reserves and other tokens you can use and what have you. And there's the Allies accessory one over there. And what I've done first is I've set up the Soviets, and there's some rules around setting them up, and they have to be set up so that every hex on the Axis side of the start line, which is the historical start line, has a unit zone of control projecting into it. So for example, this 8-4 here, the zone of control it projects is in every hex around it, and hexes are 30 kilometers. And this line here is the start line, and so that hex are projected into. This one's projecting into those ones there, this one here. So every German Axis hex on the other side has to have a zone of control projecting into it. Okay, that's the first thing to notice. The counters, I'll just talk about those very quickly, won't go on for too long. The 4 X's, and these are the biggest counters, and they really are quite big, as you can see, there's my fat finger. They are armies. And the 8 is its attack and defense, and the 4 is its movement. Yeah, the ones that are turned upside down with the band, they're sort of like different. That normally means reduced, but the question mark means you don't know what is underneath it. So it's a bit of a fog of war there for the Axis, because when those get turned up, when they get into battle, we'll actually find out what the attack is. But right now you don't know because it's on the reverse side. So yes, this is the actual line. So here we are in East Prussia, as you can see, Lithuania. So we've got Estonia, Riga, all the rest of it down here through into the marshes, and the ones we're used to hearing of today, Lvov. And then across the Carpathian Mountains, all the way down here, Odessa, and there's Bucharest over there. I haven't set the Germans up, as you can see, because what I've had to do first is set the Russians up. Now these big guys here are Army Group Headquarters, and they've only got 2 of them, and they have a supply range of 6. It's worth a minute just about the supply, because basically ground units have to be in supply and or in communication, and there's 2 different levels of being out of either of those 2 things. But to be in supply, they have to be able to connect an unbroken number of hexes of any length back to a city, back to either a HQ unit or back to a city that is itself in supply. And cities are in supply if they're connected by an unbroken line of railways to the other edge of the board. Okay, so cities are supply mostly, unless they get cut off. Now, One more thing I want to show. This, here we go up to Leningrad here. This dotted yellow line, it's Leningrad, God, I love the board. That is where they actually got to in the extent of this scenario in World War II. And so you can see it runs all the way down there. So it's quite interesting. Interesting as well how much of it is actually Ukraine, you know, and it really rings it home how much of World War II was fought in Ukraine and Belarusia. Yes, so that's where historically the Germans got to in this scenario we're playing now, and that got them, by victory terms for this, it got them a draw, because there's a whole lot of things that are victory hexes, like people centres, capitals, manufacturing centres, but each one that is a victory hex because of something or other has the red indices around the hexes. So Leningrad's obviously a bit of a stretch and then didn't actually get there. But here, for example, I can't say that, Kaunas, I'm not very good at that sort of thing. And Minsk is a victory hex. And that's the number of supply distance, the 6, from the city that it can supply people to. So where I'm up to right at the moment is that the frontline Soviets have been deployed, and next the frontline German units have to deploy, and then the Soviet rear units have to deploy, and that's them there. And as you can see, there's a lot of them. No, that's them there, sorry, and there's quite a lot of them. But next I've got to deploy these Germans. And this is Army Group North, this is Army Group Centre, and this is Army Group South. So they've got to go all the way along this line here, you know, not leaving any Soviet hex adjacent to the border zone of control. But besides that, I'm trying to work out right at the moment, other than meeting those requirements about how they're placed, where exactly are they going to go for? So in terms of victory hexes, just to help a little bit, here's the line here. This victory hex doesn't count because that's not a Soviet victory hex. That's already on the right German side. So it's only the ones on the... So they've got Riga, Tallinn, and of course if they manage to cross the border here, which I don't think they're going to be able to, then there's more there. But they've got Riga, Tallinn, Narva, possibly Leningrad. So that's like 3, 4. And there's Minsk. So you're talking 4 plus Minsk in this like northern area, and to get a victory, decisive victory, they need 13 or more, and a draw is if the Axis control 9 or 10 Soviet objectives. So they're really looking to get more than 9 or 10. They're looking to get 11 or more. So there's 4 plus some ones they didn't actually get in World War II. Driving down to the south of Minsk, south of the Pripyat marshes and back into Ukraine, we've got Lvov, and then we've got Odessa. But then there's a whole string of them across here. Dnipro, which I think that's what we call it today, they've got a different name on it. Kharkiv, Kyiv itself, Stalano, and they're the other side of the infamous Mariupol, Rostov, and then of course you've got Sevastopol down there in the Crimea, and you've got others over here, Stalingrad way over there. So in many respects the Germans, you know, there's more victory objective points down here, but obviously there's 4 up here or more as well. So the Germans have got to decide where they're going to put their forces. And then once they've deployed those forces, then the Soviets will put their reserves down. So let's see what happens with the German deployment. Next videos won't be so long because I wanted to outline the game a little bit first.